Hello everyone and welcome to another weekly outline analysis over on crude oil VTI futures, starting from the week 25th to 29th of September 2017. Now, to start with, I would like to mention and just pinpoint a few key things that came out from the last week of trading. I really do need to say that last week was really bullish and with a lot of momentum that was just enough to give the prices a small push and to continuous growth, but there was just enough momentum not to cause the oil prices to spike. And this is what amazes me. This is the sign that sentiment is changing. This is the sign that something is going to happen, and the turnaround for oil markets is somewhere around the corner. Now, to pinpoint the last week events, I need to say that every single event from the Energy Information Agency and from the American Petroleum Institute was within tolerances, as we can see from the numbers that are shown in statistics. And the second thing I would like to mention is that the OPEC took a meeting, that the OPEC guys with all energy ministers from countries that are involved in this OPEC cut agreement were taking a meeting this Friday. And as I already told my members in my trading group, the guys in the meeting did not actually did anything. They just have discussed globally on crude oil markets and to see what will actually came up. The one thing that will boost, that will keep this week prices boost, is the situation with the OPEC compliance rate, which for the August is rated at 116%, which is an increase from the July numbers of only 94%, I believe. And this is another reason to be happy about and to be bullish on oil, at least in this week. The second thing I would like to mention is the third straight weekly decline in US Baker oil rig count, and the number that came up on September 22nd, actually on last Friday, is 744, which is again beautiful sign that the market is starting to pull itself together. The sentiment is changing. I will talk about it in a second. And one last thing that I would like to say is that the big question now remains, and the big question is, will the technicals follow? Now, the last thing I would like to talk about that will impact also this week, the following week of trading, and that I have noticed over the last few weeks, is that the sentiment is changing. The fundamentals are giving a solid support, as we can see here. I have drew lines here that usually indicate the price movements of crude oil on a MACD technical indicator, and we can see how the lines go. And just by looking at the graphs, just by looking at the lines, it is almost we can almost predict in detail how much or how little will the market move on any given day. But over the course of the last few weeks, the line is straight. The line is completely straight, and actually we can see that this is a sign that fundamentals are gaining on strength, and there are more and more investors over in the market, and that there is just enough bullish and there is just enough bulls in the market that create momentum that is sufficient enough to keep the prices climbing, but it is also low enough that it does not causes the prices to spike. And this is what amazes me. This is something that we actually did not seen within, I believe, last year most definitely, and almost in last years. And when this stuff actually occurs, it is a great sign that something, that big turnaround for oil is just around the corner, guys. So taking into consideration all of things that I have just said, the big question remains. And what is the big question? Well, the big question is, will the technicals follow? Will the technicals follow in order to support this bullish momentum we have going on? And will the technicals actually follow the fundaments in order to completely change the sentiment for oil? Now, I know that it takes some time, and I know that the change is not easy, but taking into consideration what we have here and what is seen, I believe, and for most definitely it is, that technicals need to work to find a way to work out with the fundament in order for oil and oil markets to make a big step ahead. Because if the technicals do not follow and this stuff is kind of still remains in this same sector, we can live without it, but there will nothing interesting come out of it, at least in the near future. But seeing this is a great sign that something is going to happen, and just as I have already said, we need to let the market breathe and digest it. So far is looking great. Signs like this haven't been seen for months now. I would dare to say that we haven't seen move like this actually for years now, and I believe that there is a great potential for something to happen. Now, regarding the events on following week, over on Tuesday night we have the American Petroleum Institute numbers coming out. Over on Wednesday in the US session there is the EEA report over on crude inventories and on gasoline inventories coming out also, and on Friday the US Baker oil rig count. Now, taking all into consideration, I do believe that the reports will not majorly exceed the expectations and exceed the forecasted levels. So again, this week will be a nice, easy technical digesting week for market in order to kind of slightly rebalance itself, find even solider or more solid support, if that makes sense, and in order to proceed growing in a pace like it is growing. Because just few days ago, actually, we were at 45 levels. We were at 45 levels, and by just looking at this graph, which currently says that the price is somewhere around $50.50 a barrel, it says that there is a potential, there is a power, and it looks rather healthy. It looks to me healthier than it was than it looked in months. So yeah, I believe that we are onto something. So yeah, guys, to conclude this analysis, I would like to say that you can, if you want to contact me, if you want to work with me, if you want to join my trading group, my trading academy, where I teach my members how to trade oil, and when I give out my personal technical analysis with great success rate. You can find me via social network links down below. So thank you guys, and yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye.